Hello, and welcome to Back Through the Lens, where two film school friends talk about movies through the haze of nostalgia, the good, the bad, and the ones that aren't quite how we remember them. I'm your host, Rachel, and with me is my co host, Joe. Today's movie is Speed.
Explosions, shootouts, fight scenes, and high-speed chases. All elements in action films that get our adrenaline pumping. And during summertime, we get our fair share of action films all striving to be the next big blockbuster or next possible franchise.
So I remembered to watch the trailer this time.
Me too.
It was funny because it definitely had that 90s movie trailer voice that's
Oh,
almost
yeah.
like a parody of itself at this point when you hear it.
It didn't give away the whole movie, but it definitely showed a lot of the stunt and action sequences.
I'm pretty sure it showed the bus when it hits the plane and blows up. But I guess if you're just watching the trailer, you don't necessarily know that's maybe you don't see enough of the bus to understand that's what's happening.
Yeah, because I watched it first. I just remember just Keanu Reeves, explosion, 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 bus in the air from the jump. Sandra Bullock, I'm driving, and then more explosions. Um,
I'm driving.
yeah, that's what she does.
Speaking of Sandra Bullock, though, I know this wasn't literally her first movie, but this was her breakout movie, right?
As far as I'm concerned, yeah,
I remember it being like suddenly Sandra Bullock was a big deal because of this movie.
yeah. It's probably the first time I've seen Sandra Bullock in the movie. I was kind of curious about it and looked it up, and she was in a few things before that, and actually, she was in Demolition Man, either right before or a movie before that, but all before Speed.
Hmm.
And that might have kind of helped push her into this role, but I definitely think this role made her blow up. I mean, no pun intended for this movie.
Actually, it's funny you bring up Demolition Man because there was an interview I found in the research that was, I think it was Yahoo Entertainment. They went back on one of the anniversaries of Speed and they tracked down literally every passenger on the bus. I think there were maybe four they couldn't, who had either passed away or they just couldn't find them.
Hmm.
But one of them said that they were talking to Sandra Bullock during filming, and it was when Demolition Man was coming out, and they were like, "Your life's gonna change. Like, you can't be in a Sylvester Stallone movie and not have it be life-changing." And then it was like, "Oh, surprise, it was our silly little throwaway action movie that ended up really propelling her more so."
Yeah, and arguably Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, to be fair, I think what was this, 1994? I was, 9 or 10 when this came out, or by the time I saw it anyway, but
Right.
I think this was my introduction to Keanu Reeves. So it's like I didn't know if he was really well known before that, or if it was just me. It was my Keanu Reeves becoming a known actor to me.
Right. I think on TV, at least, I've seen at this point Bill and Ted, one, if not both of them on Comedy Central. So
Mm.
I knew of him. He was in other stuff. He actually did the Dracula movie before this, which in my head, it was the other
Oh,
way
right.
around. And he wasn't exactly known as a great actor, especially if I
I
remember
know.
from Dracula, he's more Ted than he is anything in that movie, just with a really bad English accent.
Yeah, I remember there being a lot of making fun of Keanu Reeves,
Yeah.
even well into, I don't know how to say it, our older years where then internet memes were a thing because they would
Yeah.
do, the Keanu face where he was just very blank,
Mhm.
and I know a lot of people would look back at things like when he was in some Shakespeare adaptations and was like, "What the hell?" Ironically, through all my research and the old interviews I read with him, he's really into Shakespeare, almost, to academic levels,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, I feel like he's more intelligent and knowledgeable than people ever gave him credit for. Now that I looked back on all these interviews, I think it's just his demeanor.
Yeah, I definitely remember all the memes and jokes, and you watch some of those movies, and you can kind of see why they're poking fun of him. But Point Break had come out a few movies before
Mhm.
Speed, and I feel like that kind of got him up there, at least as far as possibility of being at least an action hero, because it was that,
Yeah.
and then Speed, and then let's do his career real quickly here. 5 years later, so there's a lot of nothing. I mean, he did a lot of work, but this is where people were making fun of him. And it could have been bad movies and bad directors for all I know. But then
Yeah.
there's The Matrix,
Yep.
and that lasted him for a while, and then John Wick.
I was gonna say, I feel like it might have been because of John Wick. There was a period more recently where I feel like he was an internet boyfriend for a little while, and people were just talking about how sweet he was and charming in interviews. And then to top all that off, while that kind of discourse was going on, he played himself in a rom-com that was on Netflix.
Mhm.
Have you seen this? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I have not, but I think we've talked about it either somewhere down the podcast line or just
Okay.
in friendship world, but I remember you've mentioned this to me before.
Yeah, like, of course, now I wanna say it was Always Be My Maybe, but it was Ali Wong and the guy from Fresh Off the Boat, the dad from Fresh Off the Boat, and there's a period where she starts dating Keanu Reeves, the person, and he is the perfect boyfriend. Like, they're all at a dinner together, and he's so polite and respectful, and then, like, I don't know, he just knows everything they're talking about, but then I think there's a point where they go back to his house and he's like, "Oh, I literally do know kung fu and, like, all this other stuff." Like, he just is the perfect, smartest person ever.
Yeah, from what I've heard and read, and take that with a grain of salt, obviously.
Mhm.
But he is in real life a nice person, like, rides the
Mhm.
subway and doesn't wear fancy clothes and doesn't have a lot of well, doesn't show off a lot of money, I should say. I'm sure he has a fair share, but he seems pretty salt of the earth. I would
Yeah,
like to meet him. He can come on the podcast, it'd be great.
yeah, he can come hang out, that's fine,
Yeah, he can show me some moves.
because he knows kung fu.
Yes.
Anyway, so circling back to why I originally brought up Keanu Reeves and I guess his career at this point, I don't think I had any knowledge really of who he was when I first
Mhm.
saw Speed as a kid. I had
Sure.
not been exposed to like Bill and Ted, any of that. So yeah, for me, this was like for years, he was the guy from Speed and Sandra Bullock was the girl from Speed.
Even though I think I've seen Bill and Ted, and I don't at this point, I don't think I've seen the full movie, just again, on Comedy Central, clips here and there. I didn't invest my time into it just yet. He was still the guy from Speed in Bill and
Mm,
Ted, even though, again, as the timeline kind of gets muddled when you see things on TV and you get to rent movies and you're 9, you don't know what an IMDb is, so you can't like fact check
right.
what year a
Yeah.
movie comes out. But for the
Hmm.
longest time, he was the guy from Speed, despite movies I've seen before or after. He was Speed, and then he was Neo, then he was John Wick, and he's done plenty of things in between, and there are some
Yeah.
good movies as well. But he has 3, well, 4. I would include Ted. He has like 4 roles that he's known for, in my opinion.
It's funny how he sort of became a franchise actor because you just mentioned what 3 franchises he's a part
Yeah,
of? Because
yeah.
Bill and Ted, Matrix, and John Wick, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, because those would probably before rewatching Speed, I probably would have named any of those before I named Speed if someone was like, "Name a Keanu Reeves movie." So,
Right. Well, because they are franchises, and Speed is a one-off. Well, for him at least.
yeah, we'll get to that.
Um, well, while we're talking about the other 2 actors, I'm assuming maybe this was also your first Dennis Hopper movie?
Yeah, it's funny because when I was trying to remember, you know, my thoughts about this when I first saw it, I remembered knowing who Dennis Hopper was for whatever reason.
Thank you.
Yeah, there were just some actors that I just knew who they were, but I don't think I could tell you, like, what movie they were in, or I'm sure I had never seen any of their movies. Yeah, so safe to say this was my first Dennis Hopper movie.
It was my second. because of the Mario movie.
Oh, wait, no, I did see the Mario movie. I'm pretty sure I saw that in the theaters. So
I
far
did, yeah. Mm.
scratch that, sorry. That was my first Dennis Hopper movie.
But I feel like the feeling was still the same then when I saw him as Koopa or whatever
Mhm,
he is. I remember thinking, I know this guy. It's like knowing him and Christopher Walken and some other big actors from the 80s in roles in the early 90s, even like a Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park. Like, how do I know these guys? They are definitely in movies I did not see yet, especially some of them have played villains in movies I wouldn't have seen at
mhm.
6, 7 years old. But I still knew who Dennis Hopper was, even when he had stupid spiky blonde hair.
I also think part of it was the way pop culture worked at the time.
Mm,
Like, there were TV shows like Entertainment Tonight and different things like that where they might have been on in the background, and morning shows or the late night shows were the ways that they would promote movies, even on MTV, which I'm sure at this point I was watching.
yeah,
So I feel like because TV was it, really, I I don't know. I feel like we all had a more singular sense of pop culture, like who was famous in a way.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I also just remembered would get, um, like, I don't want to call them hand me downs, but my grandmother, when I always talk about in this podcast for the most part,
Mm,
had Entertainment Weekly magazines and she would give it to me
that
when she was
too.
done reading. And that's probably another reason why I knew about all these movies and actors. That was a big magazine back then.
Oh, yeah. I remember even if my mom didn't have a subscription at the time to that or to People, you could get them at the library,
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
remember doing that. So, yeah, I think we were just exposed to these things even if they weren't, like, our age group, or, like, we weren't the target audience for some of these people. I was not
Yeah.
the target audience for Speed, I'm sure.
Eh,
Yeah. No, I mean, I knew who Julia Roberts was before I ever remember seeing any of her movies. I wasn't sitting around watching Pretty Woman as a kid,
that's a good point. Yeah.
so but also, like we've said, just channel surfing, you catch clips of things. Although I take that back. I did watch I Love Trouble a lot as a kid, so maybe that was why. We'll talk about that one sometime, I bet.
Who knows? Plenty out there.
Plenty out there. Okay, so we are here today to talk about Speed, directed by Jan de Bont, released June 10th, 1994, rated R.
Pop quiz hotshot. You got an extortionist with a deep knowledge of explosives, the unwillingness to give up on his revenge or his money, and he likes to use hostages as leverage. What do you do? Your answer? LAPD's Jack Traven. There's a bomb on bus, but pulling over and letting everyone off at the next stop is impossible. With the help of Annie, a random civilian who gets stuck driving the bus, and Harry, Jack's bomb knowledgeable partner, Jack must do whatever he can to keep the passengers calm and keep them all in one piece.
So I had kind of touched on this. I saw this pretty much as soon as it was available for a rental, which means, like I said, I was 9 or 10. I feel like I was probably maybe too young to watch it. But yeah, I know that we had rented it for the weekend. And for some reason, my cousin was over. She was a few years older than me. And she was like, "Oh, you rented Speed. Let's watch Speed. That movie's great." And I was like, "Okay, well, we haven't watched it yet, but I guess I can watch it with you and without my parents." And we did, and I loved it. I was obsessed with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. I know for a fact they were in all those teen magazines that I would read after this, especially Keanu Reeves. He became feel like a brief moment became a heartthrob.
Yeah,
They tried to shoehorn him into the action star movie crush thing, and feel like he resisted that pretty well because sometimes it just happens whether you want it to or not,
yeah.
whatever the media decides to, like, label you as. But, yeah, I literally have memories of, like, my commentary with my cousin and just sitting on our floor sitting on my floor watching this. And then I'm sure I had caught it on TV and stuff throughout the years. This is definitely the kind of movie that if my dad was channel surfing, he would leave it on, and sometimes I'd come watch it with him, but I cannot remember the last time I've seen it all the way through, probably not since, like, high school.
Yeah, I think most of my experiences with this movie is very similar. I think my first watch, if I'm remembering this correctly, was at grandma's. I want to say we were in the basement where the bigger TV and the nicer sound system was. I feel like a lot of these episodes or movies, we can say, we might have been too young to watch this movie at the time, but it was the 90s and that's just how it was. There were no rules. We just watched movies and it was great. If a bad part came up or a scary part or something, it was like shut your eyes or like leave the room or something. It was just very nonchalant.
Yeah, and I'm sure with this type of movie too, my parents are probably like, "Oh, it's rated R for, like, explosions because he's a bomber."
Yeah,
I
pretty much
feel like
was though.
I mean, yeah, there were a couple literally just a couple kind of violent bits that I could point out, but, like, where you actually could see some gore or whatever, but yeah, mostly swearing and explosions, so they were like, "Oh, that's fine."
Yeah. And last time, man, high school, early college, maybe. I don't really remember. I feel like someone's like, "Oh, I've never seen Speed." I'm like, "Oh yeah, we're watching it," and then that's probably what happened.
Yeah. I feel like I kind of forgot about Speed, to be honest with you, because it's at this point we already mentioned it. It's not the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Keanu Reeves. And
Hmm.
then Sandra Bullock, too, has gone on to have this huge career. And she's been in multiple rom coms and stuff that are comfort watches for me that I would think of first. So I was very excited to revisit this because this was the epitome of like something we really liked when we were young that I've completely forgotten about or just haven't seen in literal decades.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
hate that that's a possibility for us, but
Ugh.
yeah,
Decades. Ugh.
decades. I think when I was reading one of the anniversary articles, the director's like 80 now.
Shut up.
It's just like, I know it made me feel so old.
What was he? 70 when he made this movie?
He was 50.
Whatever.
All right. So we start with our screenwriter, Graham Yost. He was a TV writer on Hey Dude on Nickelodeon.
Fuck yeah, hey dude.
I watched that all the time.
I did as well. It definitely wasn't my favorite Nickelodeon live action show, but I definitely watched it. I'm very excited for this connection.
Yeah. I feel like that's definitely one of the more forgotten TV shows of our childhood.
Yeah, I was more of a salute your shorts kind of guy.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. I watch Salute Your Shorts a lot. Oh,
Hey Dude was okay. They were on the Dude Ranch, obviously,
yes.
and it's just it was kind of in between like comedy, like salute your shorts, but also like Full House sitcom. It was a little nicer in the comedy, I guess I can say. Not as
It's ru
raunchy, or they weren't talking about butts and farts so much on Hey Dude as maybe in Salute Your Shorts,
That's
which
true.
when you're 8, it's hilarious.
Yeah, my son would love that right now. That's
See?
all it talks about anyway without the aid of a television show.
Yeah.
So, well, it's funny you mentioned Full House because after Hey Dude wrapped, Graham Yost kinda didn't have a job for a little bit. He was saying in interviews that Nickelodeon didn't really pick him up for anything, and he was trying to write spec scripts for TV shows that were on at the time, and no one was really picking those up either. So he was like, "Alright, I have this idea for a screenplay," and what happened is that apparently his dad, who, by the way, is a well-known TV show host in Canada, told him about the movie Runaway Train from 1985, and he incorrectly assumed that the runaway train was in this predicament because of a bomb, and he was like, "That would be so much better on a bus than a train." But it sounds like he had never actually seen Runaway Train.
So father's like, "Hey, get an idea from this movie and he doesn't watch it. He's like, I'm just going to put a bomb on it, but on a bus instead.
I think his dad was just like, "Oh, I saw this movie, Runaway Train." After he wrote Speed, he then went on to work on Full House while he was waiting for a studio to obtain the rights to Speed.
Okay.
And he apparently hated working on Full House. He felt like it wasn't the right fit for him, and he was just, like, desperately hoping every day that he would get a phone call that someone wanted to make Speed so that he could quit Full House.
Maybe if he wrote some more bombs in the episodes, that'd be more up his alley.
A
They can
very
do a whole
special
episode of Full
episode.
House. Yeah, they can do an
Yeah.
episode where they're on the San Fran trolley and there's a bomb on it. Also, I tend not to read your notes ahead of time so I can get surprised by facts. I did not
Yes.
read, I swear to God, accidentally make that Full House connection for you.
I also wanted to point out that Graham Yost also wrote Broken Arrow.
Yes.
I think that's, like, the
All
3rd
coming
time.
together. All right. Well, I guess we're going to have to do that episode soon.
Apparently, his original title, by the way, was Minimum Speed.
What?
Yeah, he ended up changing it because he felt like having the word minimum in your title, like, didn't sound great.
No.
Also, the bus originally just couldn't go below 20 miles per hour.
Very minimum speed.
Right?
How about we just
Um,
call it school zone?
like, could you imagine how much less exciting that is?
Very much so.
Yeah, because I'm thinking of all these bits where Annie's driving on, I guess, surface streets, like when she's not on the freeway and she has to really keep moving, it really wouldn't be that much of a problem.
No.
Yeah.
Minimum speed. It doesn't sound
Uh,
exciting at all.
so the original script was entirely on a bus. There was no elevator scene in the beginning, no subway scene at the end. Part of the plot was going to be them driving around Dodgers Stadium, like literally in a circle around Dodgers Stadium. And he said, I picked Dodger Stadium because I just looked at a map and went, where could you drive in a big circle? And I was like, oh, the parking lot at Dodger Stadium. That makes sense.
I feel
And I
like you
mean, that
probably
is
do that.
kind of what they do at the airport. So,
Yeah, you could probably
yeah,
do that to a lot of big parking lots.
sure. So then it was going to be circling the stadium or the parking lot and eventually crash into the Hollywood sign. There was going to be something about Jack feeling like they should go up into the hills so that if it does explode, it's away from civilians.
Smart.
Right. But also, I was thinking about, like, can you get that much speed when you're going up hills? And then I was like, oh, well, it only had to go 20.
Right.
So maybe that was why that worked at first.
From the makers of School Zone, we have tourist views.
Okay. All right. So eventually, Paramount said they're interested, and Graham Yost is like, fuck yeah, I can quit Full House. But they wanted to make changes, like you
Thank
do.
God.
Right. Right. They wanted John McTiernan to direct. At the time, he was known for Predator, Die Hard, and The Hunt for Red October. He turned it down because he thought this movie was too similar to Die Hard. But he suggested Jan de Bont, who was his director of photography for Die Hard and The Hunt for Red October.
Oh, nice.
This was actually de Bont's directing debut.
Mhm.
I looked at his filmography, and he's has a huge career as a director of photography, other camera operations, but he's only directed 5 movies. This, the sequel, Twister, The Haunting from 1999, and Lara Croft Tomb Raider.
Okay.
I
Interesting.
mean, not that bad for such a short filmography, I feel.
No. I
So,
mean, I can get down with Twister. The Haunting 1999.
Catherine
Mm.
Zeta-Jones was in it.
Oh,
That's all I
okay.
really remember. I know I saw it, but, like, once.
And then one of the Tomb Raider movies, was this
Yeah, I wanna say it
your
was the
one?
first one. It was the Angelina Jolie one.
Oh, and I've seen that one too. Okay.
Okay.
So
Um,
they really like one arguably very bad movie in this 5 lists, and we'll
I
talk about
mean,
that one later.
I guess I feel like if studios are trusting you with something like The Haunting, which is like existing IP that, of course, has been made a ton of times. Like, I can't even keep all the different titles of
Mm,
variations straight of that story. And then
right.
something like Lara Croft that they were setting up to be a franchise, like, that's not nothing. Like, even if they didn't do well, they obviously were like, you're a capable big
Yeah.
budget movie director. So could be worse. And like I said, he was 50 when he directed this. Learn that in passing. It's never too late, Joe.
Never too late.
After all this, Paramount decided to pass because they were like, no one's going to watch a movie set entirely on a bus. I don't know why they suddenly had this realization, but this is what they thought. They were like, no, thank you. Somehow they were able to still retain Jan de Bont as director attached to the script. He and Graham Yost pitched it to 20th Century Fox, and Fox was like, okay, we'll make it, but you have to make changes. So we're back to where we were. However, these changes were basically the additional scenes of the elevator situation in the beginning, the subway at the end. They were like, you just got to have some scenes that don't take place on a bus. De Bont is actually the one who came up with the idea for the elevator sequence in the beginning. He came up with the idea because he was thinking about some time while making Die Hard where he got stuck in an elevator. He was like, that would be scary.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think I did find the elevator scene scarier because the thought of plunging for a while before I was blown up just feels worse, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Also, did it blow up?
There was a possibility it could have blown up, and
Oh, okay.
they already plunged a couple times pretty
Yeah.
quickly and were injured, and it just seems like, I don't know, having to go through all that and then see, when we have Keanu Reeves on our podcast, we'll ask him, like, which would you prefer?
Yes.
I guess he also came up with the general idea for the finale being on a subway. It's funny because if you look at Wikipedia in particular, they say that they got the idea for the subway scene from this other movie that had a similar ending scene. There's also something about another movie where there's a bomb on the bus. And I did not include them because I couldn't find any actual like discussion about this where they were like, yeah, we saw this movie and that's a good idea. I feel like it is almost like the Pee-wee's Big Adventure thing where I think it's
Mm,
just sometimes 2 movies can have scenes on subways. Like,
yes.
sometimes 2 movies can involve bombs. So, as far as I found in terms of actual quotes from people that worked on the movie, these were both the director's ideas. Graham Yost used that beginning bit with the elevator to give us more insight into how Jack thought and solved cases, which we
Oh,
definitely see.
I like that, yeah.
Did you I don't know how far ahead you read on the notes. Do you have any idea who they brought in to do an uncredited rewrite on this script? Are you aware of this?
No, I like I said, I don't really read your notes ahead of time because I like being surprised.
Okay, good. Joss Whedon.
No way.
Like, Joss Whedon, who did Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Firefly, the first Avengers movie, that Joss Whedon,
Yeah,
did an uncredited rewrite, mainly dialogue.
but that makes sense.
He is the reason we have Pop Quiz Hotshot.
God bless Josh Whedon.
Yep. He made Jack less of a maverick, hotshot kind of young cop, made him more polite and earnest.
Ernest.
Had to keep the actual word earnest in there just for you.
Thank you.
Quote from Yost, our screenwriter. Joss is one of those things we're not allowed to talk about on the commentary, meaning when they would do DVD commentary later. I can't remember if it was a Writers Guild thing or a legal thing, but it was like, really, you can't mention Joss.
Hmm. That's wow, that sucks. So how did this come out there? How did we know that he did it?
I guess in interviews, they're allowed to say it's him. because it's not an official thing associated with the movie or something. The DVD commentary is probably just as protected as, like, the actual movie on
Yeah,
DVD,
'cause it's
so
part of the whole movie.
and part of the studio and everything. But no, it's out there,
Huh.
it's not like this hidden tidbit, it's very much discussed in other interviews. I literally when I saw this for the first time on Wikipedia, I was like, "Well, that's obviously gotta be incorrect." Because there was even a warning on the Wikipedia page for this movie that there's more AI information in that one, and so, like, check the sources, make sure they're not literally make sure they're not AI hallucinations. And I was
Jesus.
like, "Well, obviously, this is a hallucination." Nope, nope, it
Hmm.
is not.
And Wikipedia was already hard enough to trust, even though I go there all the time. But now we got AI Wikipedia? Ugh,
Yeah. But did you know that Joss Whedon also co-wrote Toy Story?
I don't think I knew that.
I didn't either, but he is credited. Like, he was nominated with the writing team for an Oscar. I feel like I know his stuff. I know, like, that kind of sci-fi part of his career. All
Sure.
this other stuff, I had no idea.
Hmm. Yeah, I didn't know.
Glad you also found that as surprising as I did.
Yeah.
Okay. So casting, we have quite a few people to mention. Keanu Reeves was absolutely not anyone's first choice, sorry to say. Jeff Speakman was originally going to play Jack. He is, from what I can tell, a martial artist. His best known role is in a 1991 movie called The Perfect Weapon. I did not recognize him when I looked him up,
Nope.
but he was dropped when Speed moved to 20th Century Fox. They then offered it to Stephen Baldwin, and he turned it down
What?
because I know, he said it was too similar to Die Hard, which is the second time someone said it's too much like Die Hard, which, like,
Is it because there's a terrorist? That's like every
so,
80s movie.
okay, thank you. Like, that's what I wasn't understanding exactly, and I didn't see Die Hard until I was a lot older, like, it just was never something I sat down to watch, and I definitely wasn't watching it, at 9 or 10 years old. So I was like, well, maybe I'm missing something because I'm not as familiar with that movie. But I I don't know. To me, I'm just when I think of Speed, I think of the bus. And like I don't think of a bus when I think of Die Hard. So that's why I was like not understanding what the connection was.
Oh my god. Is is Die Hard the 90s action version of Porky's?
Shut up. No, because Porky's was the other way. Like it has to be more like Porky's.
Well, right, but
They would
yeah.
be like, get rid of the bus. It has to be more like Die Hard.
We need more Christmas on this bus. Yeah.
I don't know.
Only connection I'm getting is potentially the elevator that they added in the beginning. That's like maybe the closest, and then
Yeah.
a terrorist or extortionist, whatever you want to call it. Both. The guy blows up people.
Yeah, I
Um,
guess you could if you really wanted to link them, you can make some argument with, like, when Bruce Willis is going through the ductwork and, like, Keanu Reeves is, on top of elevators in that beginning scene, but that's not even the whole thing?
yeah, that's a stretch.
I don't know. Okay, I'm glad you were also confused by this because I really wasn't understanding how these were supposedly so similar. So Stephen Baldwin is a no because of Die Hard. It was then offered to Richard Grieco, who, from what I can tell, is best known for a 1991 movie called If Looks Could Kill, which I looked it up and I do remember seeing that cover, but I've never seen the movie.
Yeah, it sounds familiar, but I don't think I've seen it.
I think he had this brief moment of being super well known because that movie was a hit and then like
Mm,
his career kind of fizzled. He was also in the original TV show of 21 Jump Street, which I
okay.
think, like, was what made him popular in the first place for that movie. He turned it down. He later said he regretted it. I feel like the quotes I could find, a lot of people just seemed to turn it down just because they were like, "Who's gonna go watch this bus movie?" Like, I don't know. They just thought it was a little too high concept, I guess. They also reached out to Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks, Wesley Snipes, and Woody Harrelson.
Tom Cruise, I can see.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks, no.
No.
Wesley
No.
Snipes, yes. Woody Harrelson, maybe at that point in his
Yeah.
career, it's a stretch, but he's got that like everyman kind of look where like Keanu kind of does at this
Mhm.
point in his career.
Yeah.
He's also very earnest. Uh, but Tom Cruise, though, just the whole fact of like running alongside the bus and running to the bus and from the bus and all the running and running and running, I could see Tom Cruise doing it.
Of course. That's like what he does anyway.
Hey, let the man run.
The man run. So then Jan de Bont, our director, saw Keanu Reeves in Point Break, which you have already mentioned. He's like a surfing LAPD cop, I guess.
Yeah, he's undercover.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, I've seen like the poster for this movie. Like, I'm aware of its existence. I've never seen it.
Okay.
Yeah. But he was impressed with his combination of vulnerability and strength.
Yeah, checks out.
Yeah. And I could see both of that in Speed. I mean, obviously, he's putting himself in really, like, harrowing situations, but then he also, like, obviously has a soft side, like, when it comes to Annie and all of that.
And Harry.
Um, and Harry, of course. So this is a quote from our director. "It's all, I hope, very identifiable. Keanu Reeves looks vulnerable. At one point, he breaks down. He doesn't have muscles like Stallone. He doesn't do incredible stunts or shoot up whole buildings. You can identify with him."
And as great of a quote that is, I can say if I boil it down generically, I could see also a lot of that in McClane in Die Hard. Again, not a
Mhm.
big, muscular clad actor that, you're not going to squeeze Schwarzenegger in some duck work,
Yeah. Yeah. They actually talked about how they made sure to get Keanu, like, buffed up just enough that you would believe he's a cop who has to, like, be in good shape. Like, he was talking about working on his arms and his chest, but not so ripped that he's, like, not a believable everyday, like, LA cop, I guess.
functional muscles.
Yeah. Apparently, though, when he showed up on set, Dennis Hopper had done a movie with him in the mid 80s. So they already knew each other somewhat. I think it was called River's Edge. But he was like shocked at how buff Keanu Reeves suddenly looked when he showed up for Speed.
Nice.
Yeah. They apparently had the same trainer.
Oh, hmm.
Yeah, I don't really think of Dennis Hopper having a trainer.
Uh, okay.
I mean, he
I
needs
got
some
nothing.
stamina to do all that yelling, I guess. I don't know.
It's the Diet Coke he drinks.
All right. Anyway, get ready to go on a little bit of a journey with me here when we are talking about Annie.
Uh oh.
Okay. She was originally written to be an African American paramedic. She was not going to be considered a love interest. Yost, our screenwriter, felt that he had to give her some sort of job like paramedic to explain how she could drive a bus so well.
Okay.
Yeah. So, that all being said, at this iteration, it was offered to Halle Berry, who turned it down.
I can see that casting choice, though.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because of what's coming next.
I'm purposely not
Okay.
looking.
Okay. Okay. So, yes, I could see the Halle Berry casting choice at that point.
Did she turn it down to do Flintstones?
That's funny, because 'cause didn't it come out, like, the same weekend or something? It
I don't
came out,
know
like,
how
really
close
close
it
to
was, but in my
Flintstones.
head, again, it feels like very, very close.
I think she had said later that she regretted it, but at the time, also, the script was, like, very different, which I also understand.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, like, because this script especially, I think, went through some more significant changes and other things we've talked about, so I kind of I don't really fault people for like, "Oh, this could have been so big for you," when you didn't even see the same version of it.
Yeah.
Um,
It was fine. She made it out just fine.
I mean, yeah, she did okay for herself. As the script kept going through rewrites, Annie turned into more comic relief. Still
Hmm,
wasn't considered a love interest.
okay.
Would you like to take a guess as to what 90s female comedian? was offered the role of Annie.
90s. My instinct, I feel like it's a hint, would be like Rosie O'Donnell because we've talked about her a few times, at least twice. So it's
No,
okay. So I feel like
it's
you were
not
trying
not a
to.
bad guess, though.
Okay, yeah, I thought you were trying to set me
No,
up.
I'm not trying to hint, I'm just like, okay, Ellen DeGeneres,
Pardon me.
right? Okay, so again, when I read this, I was like, "Oh, this is like the Joss Whedon thing, like Wikipedia's hallucinating." No, it's true.
No, it's
Even
true.
see, here's the thing though, because my immediate thought was, "That's like an SNL skit."
Yes.
Like that SNL would do a skit of Speed where Ellen DeGeneres is, like, cracking jokes.
Oh my god. And I don't even think of her as a 90s I mean, I know that's how she got her start, but that's not what I think, I guess.
I can't remember if it was the screenwriter or the director who was interviewed about this, but he said, like, "I know, it's true, people always bring it up, like, what the fuck was that decision making?" And, at the time, she wasn't Ellen the way we know her now, and she was actually, like, a really solid actress, and I still think it would have been fine for that iteration of the script, but and then they were like, "But please move on, no more questions about this."
The only time I can think of her being an actress was on the show Ellen, where she famously
Mhm.
came out on.
Yeah.
And before that, like when the show was really at its peak, they would sometimes, like on late shows or whatever, show her doing stand up comedy, which was the earlier 90s. So I'm picturing the Ellen I can remember from the clips I saw of like the really bad shoulder length haircut and big
Oh,
boxy
yeah.
men's suits driving the bus as Annie. And I don't like any of this.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, actress is generous, comedian is better.
Yeah, I guess it's hard for me to picture her acting anymore because, like, I think of her as the talk show host, Ellen, and just sorta hosting things and cracking jokes. I I watched her TV show when it was on. The only
Same.
scene I really can remember is, like, the episode where she did come out because it was such a big deal. But, yeah, I just think it's funny when I was trying to confirm this and I find this interview where the guy's like, "I know. Move on. Yes, it's true. No one understands my thought process at the time. That's all I'm saying about it. Next question." So then, we go through more rewrites and finally, like, someone decides Annie should be a love interest for Jack, which I am surprised this wasn't pushed immediately from the studio because I could just I don't know. I feel like these are the types of changes they would always be shoehorning because 'cause they'd be like, "We could get a really famous guy with a really famous lady," and,
Right.
you know? So, it turns into the love interest character of Annie that is what we see in the final movie. Before Sandra Bullock was eventually brought in to do chemistry tests with Keanu Reeves, they reached out to or offered it to Meryl Streep, Kim Basinger, and Anne Heche. I was kind of frustrated trying to find anything from Sandra Bullock from the making of Speed. I also was having this problem where a lot of the anniversary interviews were on websites like People, where they would be loading so many photos and ads, it would like freeze my laptop
Oh
every
god,
time it
yeah.
loaded. There just wasn't a lot out there that was getting brought up, even like back when the movie came out. I could find interviews with Keanu Reeves from 1994. There wasn't a lot with Sandra Bullock, but she said that she remembered being in this room with Keanu Reeves and the director for her to audition alongside him because he was already set to be Jack. And she said they had fake bus isn't even the right thing to say. They had like a folding chair for her to sit in, pretending like she's driving the bus. And they were like, "Here, take this paper plate." And like, that's the steering wheel. And they would just wanted her to say all her lines while pretending to drive. And she said, like, that's her big memory is her being in this little room for the chemistry screenings with like, pretend to drive this bus. And she was like, okay.
And in my opinion, romantic interest is also generous. like there's sparks and then nothing really happens till the end. And
Right.
even that's still kind of very lukewarm. Like it's not,
It's not a huge part of it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's not like the whole time they're flirting and, or she already was an established love interest, which would make things more dramatic, I think. And it would
Right.
feel like Jack's trying to just save her and not the whole situation. And I wouldn't like that.
Right.
But it's a love sparked by trauma.
Of course. Yeah. That's even what they say,
Yeah.
which is going to be super successful and healthy throughout the years.
Remember you said that.
Yep. And I know what the situation is in the sequel. Okay. The original villain was going to be a twist.
Ooh.
Harry was going to turn out to be the villain the whole time. And he had been working with an off screen accomplice, which I guess was going to be Dennis Hopper's character. I wasn't exactly understanding how this all was going to play out. But the screenwriter, Graham Yost, said he got rid of this idea once Dennis Hopper was cast because he wanted Hopper to be able to stand alone and create this great villain, which he knew he was going to get out of Dennis Hopper.
Yeah.
He also said it was really hard to create a twist that would work for Harry being the bad guy all along.
I could see it happening. It could definitely work if someone wrote it correctly.
I guess my confusion was more him wording this as I got rid of this idea once Dennis Hopper was cast. It's like, well, what was Dennis Hopper being cast as if he wasn't the villain? And that's why my only assumption is that he was going to be Harry's accomplice because I don't know like what else they would be casting unless he
Right.
was originally going to be Harry.
Harry. Or
Uh
it's maybe just a problem of wording because I could see it where Payne is the main bad guy played by Hopper, and Harry, the twist, is the accomplice. He's the inside man. That would
oh,
work a little
maybe.
better than Harry being the main bad guy, but I could still
Yeah.
see it working.
Yeah. I mean, because we already have like the twist that Dennis Hopper's character is a former cop. So sure.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. But Graham Yost said he also doesn't really like when the villains are mainly off screen and they don't have a lot of contact with the hero, which I think is how this would have originally worked because Jack would have been more interacting with Harry, not realizing he was a villain. But also in general, I feel like that's a really smart decision because, like, part of why I think Speed ends up being so fun is the back and forth between Jack and Dennis Hopper.
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
Thanks, Josh.
yeah. Okay. Filming was from September 7th, 1993 to December 23rd, 1993. 14 buses in total were used for filming, just basically in various stages of being damaged, as you can imagine. The 33 downtown route that they use in the movie is fiction, but they based it off the big blue buses that run in Santa Monica, which is a thing. I was just in Santa Monica when we visited LA and I saw the signs for the big blue buses. And I remember thinking it sounds like when you're on a college campus and you have like a specific like bus or shuttle for your campus.
Yeah,
Keanu Reeves was very hesitant about the action sequences, according to the director. He kept saying that he wasn't an action hero and he didn't know how to play these scenes, which I just thought was a little interesting because they were like already on set and filming.
right.
But Debont, the director, thought this was an advantage because he and the screenwriter always saw the character of Jack as like kind of just a regular cop that was put in a really like batshit situation that he really had to rise to the occasion for.
Like
So
Die Hard.
like Die Hard. Yeah, I guess
Fuck.
that's why. But because Keanu was so concerned about this, he started like obsessively practicing the stunts
Mm,
and like to just feel like more confident in his ability to make things look real, whatever. And the director was like, okay, yeah, cool. But like, you're not really going to do this stunts. So it doesn't have to be perfect. And then, surprise, he did do some of the stunts on his own, which the director was not prepared for. He was trying to be like, "No, no, like, you're not gonna do this, it's gonna be the stunt double," and then there were some takes, in particular, when Jack first gets on the bus and he jumps from that car to the bus, that was really him, he really did it. The director was not expecting it, they just, kept rolling, and he was, like, really pissed about it, but he's like, "At least you're alive so we can finish the movie."
And you have your legs.
Right, exactly, and that's the first thing I thought of too when I read that is, like, his legs dangle in that part, and
Yeah.
oh. During the filming of Speed is also when River Phoenix died, and he and Keanu Reeves were close friends. They were in My Own Private Idaho together, which I think came out in, like, '93. So the director, a lot of his memories of Keanu Reeves on set were, like, him being really quiet and withdrawn because he was trying to process, like, his friend's death, and a lot of the interviews I read with other people who were in the cast even said, like, Sandra Bullock was around all the time hanging out with everyone, like, all the people who were on the bus were sort of hanging out together 24/7, and then they all said Keanu Reeves was, like, really nice, really good to work with, but he would just kind of go back to his trailer and, like, be by himself, and it made more sense when he was dealing with this news,
Yeah. Can't blame
and
them.
yeah, and the director has said in interviews that he changed the shooting schedule to try to give Keanu Reeves less heavy scenes to do while he was, like, first grieving, I guess, but I also they didn't really specify how that worked, and I feel like if they're gonna keep filming, like, if they're not gonna pause filming, like, I don't know how long you can really do that, especially for an action movie where he's, like, running around and jumping and practicing all these stunts that he's not even supposed to be doing.
Right. Maybe a lot of the God, I don't know, he's like every scene.
That too, yeah. So, like I said, not a lot of specifics, but it seems like looking back, everyone noticed the difference between hanging out with Sandra Bullock and then, like, just the very little they saw of Keanu Reeves, but this sort of explains it.
God, all I can think of now is the scene when he smashes the phone after he hears about Harry's death, and I wonder how much he
Oh,
pulled
yeah.
from real emotion.
That's a really good point. I didn't even think about that.
Whew, rough.
Yeah. And actually, in some of the interviews I read that were done when Speed came out or really soon after it was evident that Speed was a hit, the journalists were asking him, like, well, how much did River Phoenix's death affect kind of how you see life now or how you're making choices? And you could tell he just like did not want to talk about it. And he'd just be like, I don't know, it doesn't really. And the interviewer would be like, well, you don't have to answer if you don't want to. And he'd be like, I already did answer. I said, like, no. And okay. So 20th Century Fox, they thought this would be like maybe a modest hit. They saw it as just a conventional action movie for summer audiences. They were like, at best, it'll probably recoup the budget, which was around 30 million. They did a test screening in Pasadena. The audience started applauding after the elevator scene and like basically never stopped having these really big reactions, like in terms of being shocked or just being like, oh my God, that was awesome or whatever. And DeBont was at the screening and he said he remembered standing in the back being like, the studio told me this was just gonna be a small movie. Like, he was just totally shocked. So, because this went so well, they set up a second test screening in Long Beach, and DeBont said that went even better. It was a dream come true to make a movie that the audience loves so much. And because of these 2 test screenings, they moved up the release date. It was originally supposed to be August, but a lot of like, the memories that DeBont was sharing in these anniversary articles were like, I'd go to these test screenings, and people would literally be walking up if they had to, like, get up and use the bathroom, they'd be walking backwards because they didn't wanna miss anything that
Oh,
happened.
wow.
Yeah, like, I think they knew right away this was gonna be more than what they anticipated. But okay, so that brings us to our title sequence. which I would like to point out that it doesn't look that bad until you get to the literal title of Speed. Everyone's names are kind of in this blue, it's an action movie font. I don't know what else to say about it, but it
Yeah,
has
yeah,
like
yeah.
a white highlight. And then when Speed comes up on the screen, all of a sudden it's a yellow highlight, which I feel like makes it look really cheap.
Yeah.
And this short word is like spaced out to fit the screen, and the letters are so spaced out. Like it just design wise, I felt like this looked very bad.
Yeah, I think that might be the only thing I didn't like and didn't fully register, but it definitely stood out in not a good way. Because it's just we're scrolling down this endless elevator shaft and we see nothing besides parts of buildings, right? Like the inside of a
Hmm.
building, interior of like the shaft. And the names are like off on the right and on a weird angle, but
Yeah,
it's cool. It's not a David Bowie quote exploding, so I'm okay with that.
right.
It's not Armageddon. It's just okay. Why didn't they just keep the title in line with the other names in the same color? Why is
Hmm.
it speed all stretched out?
It looked like old clip art,
Yeah, it probably was
and
though.
like you had selected the fill the space option.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Okay,
yeah, it probably
because
was.
it was like it was fine. It was just totally regular 90s action movie with the music and the font that looks like slightly metal or
Yeah.
sci-fi-ish. I don't know what to say about it. And then I was like, they picked like the worst spacing and the worst color scheme for the actual title. Like, why would they change this?
Yeah, it was weird too because, as I said, it was everything else was on the right-hand side, and
Hmm.
you're reading it, you're reading it, and then it's the title moves, and you're like, "Wait, we're oh, speed across the
Yeah, then
whole."
it zoomed away and I was like,
Yeah.
well, this is worse now.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yep.
But everything else is very early '90s, but in a good way, not in the Batman Forever, Armageddon kind of way.
I forgot about Batman Forever.
Oh, yeah. Names in different colors flying at you.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah, yeah, because I was
but
like, "Remember the Saved by the Bell opening?"
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
everything's flying at you. Yep.
The music's subtle. It's just like this quiet ambient noise that's slowly swelling. And then it hits like the one part of the music that I recognize as the speed theme, even though it is like a whole probably 3 minute score. But
Mhm.
it's that really high, like bit, 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 bit. And then like the late 80s or the 90s drums, do, 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 do. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot all about this song. This song's awesome. And it brought back flashbacks of every other '90s action movie from that time period, and then I found out why, because this guy, the guy who did the score, Mark
Um,
Mencina, also did Bad Boys, Twister, and Con Air, which I can totally, totally hear because I hear that "doo, doo, 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 doo," and I think of the end of Con Air when he's on a bus, and they just have this, like, intense electric drum sound.
yep.
I was kinda like, "Eh, this is fine, this is fine." Yes! Jazzed up now, let's go.
I'm glad you enjoyed this opening so much. I thought it was kinda long.
Oh my god, it was very long, yes, but the
Okay.
music saved it. It just the music saved it because it sparked memories of what I'm about to
Yeah.
see in other movies I have seen that I didn't know were tied together because of this man and his awesome techno drumming.
Okay. Yeah, so I was thinking maybe I just imagined how long it was because I was pausing it to be like, "Why does the title look so different?" And then I was like, "Why is this still going on?" Like, it just
We went
nothing
down an
was
entire
happening.
skyscraper of elevator.
Yeah.
It was very long.
Okay. Alright. So it wasn't just in my head, that's fine.
No, I was really excited about the music, but then that one cool part and it's only played like twice. I'm like, okay, and we're still waiting to start the movie.
Yeah, because 'cause I'm pretty sure the credits were still going on, and my son had come up to ask me something, and I was like, "I haven't even gotten into the actual movie, like, this is gonna take forever." I remember it's, like, this very first scene where the security guard is coming up on Dennis Hopper's character. I mean, we don't really know, like I mean, we assume he's a villain because then he stabs the security guard with a screwdriver, I think.
Probably, yes.
But I remember this scene and being like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have been watching this when I was a kid." But then, like, that was kind of really the only gore, so
Yeah, and it's quick. It's attention
yeah.
grabbing. It's kinda like when we talked
Mhm.
about Goonies, we're like, "Oh, the guy's he hung himself. What the hell?"
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
first 2 seconds of the movie. I mean, it turned out it was, a ploy to get out of prison or
Yeah.
bumfuck jail, but yeah, my note is, did he really have to kill a security guard? I thought he was gonna, because he's clearly, like, going under his permit he said he has. Like,
Mhm.
this officer's not paying attention to his hands for some reason, and I thought he was gonna grab, like, a big Super Mario Brothers plumber wrench. I thought he was gonna, like, hit him with it, and he just stabs the dude in the neck. I'm like, "Okay, well, now this is just to show us that he is definitely the villain, even though it's Dennis Hopper and he just looks like a bad guy." Sorry, Dennis. Also RIP. But he just has this, like, mean mug, and you're like, "Oh, he's not supposed to be there," and, when you're a kid, you see a guy with a badge, tell him you're not supposed to be there, you're like, "Yeah, he's probably not supposed to be there," and he just shanks him in the neck, and it's a little overkill, I think, but it's,
But I think, like, that's his MO, though, like, it's
yeah,
overkill. And
true.
in looking back at this beginning, like, from the very first scene where, like, this guy is just bad with, like, no redeeming qualities, and, like, overkill is the name of the game here.
Yeah, he has a kind of a cheesy line too when he's like, "It's nothing personal."
Yeah, that's
It's like, "Yeah, we get it. You had to kill him because he was gonna stop you
bust
from
you,
doing your
yeah.
job." Yeah.
Yeah, stop you from killing other people. In my notes, I was talking about how ruthless this sets him up to be, and I said, circling back to this, like, after this whole scene wraps and the hostages get released, he really is ruthless because he ends up jumping the gun, and he's just gonna blow everyone up just because he realizes the cops are trying to save them. So it's
Yeah.
like, to me, I don't even know if, like, he cares as much about the money, at least in this opening scene with the elevator, because he's like, "Well, fuck it, I'm just gonna kill everyone." Whereas if he had waited, maybe there had been money, and I just feel like this set him up as someone who, like, he's just doing this to I don't even know if the money is his, like, ultimate goal.
Money is definitely his goal. I think it does show ruthlessness, but I also think that him blowing up the elevator early was to lead Jack down the thought process that he's in the building he's around, which we see later with the bus and the camera, and, like, he's always paying attention to what's going on. He's not, like, calling a threat from afar. I think he knew he wasn't gonna get the money because if they save the hostages, there's no leverage, so he's like, "Well, F it."
Yeah.
Boom.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
but I think it's just everything all mixed together, which, just shows how ruthless he is.
Yeah. So he recognized one of these office workers who
Hell
gets in the
yeah, I did.
elevator.
I had to rewind it, like, twice, 3 times. I was watching this with my wife who's never seen Speed before.
Really?
Yeah. I was surprised she hasn't seen before because her brother likes a lot of action movies, and so I figured that would have happened at one point, but maybe not. But anyway, I kept going, I know the guy who's there's 2 Bobs, by the way, in his movie, so it was really hard to confirm Bob in the elevator because Bob, the
Yep.
bus driver, is, the only one credited as Bob. So I had to do
Yeah.
some diving into IMDb, which annoyed the piss out of me. But Bob in the elevator is Patrick Fischler. Am I saying that right? In his film
Fischler.
debut,
Hmm.
he does a lot of TV. He was in the TV show, I think it was on Sci-Fi, Happy, which is based off of a graphic novel. He kind of looks like, oh my god, he kind of looks like the guy that was in Late Night with the Devil, that David, really long last name.
Oh, he does kinda look like that guy. See, I remember him from Mad Men.
Yes,
Uh, he plays, like, a comedian. I wanna say he's Jimmy something, and Don Draper has an affair with his wife because, like, of course he does.
of course he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he does a lot of TV.
Mhm.
He also has a very recognizable to me face. And when I said I recognize the guy who pushed the button, I was like, "Of course you did."
Of course you did, yeah.
Not even 10 minutes in the movie, and it's going back. 10, let's go back again. Who is this guy?
Yep.
It was
Yep.
haunting me. I had to figure this out.
I kind of felt bad for him because, like, he gets in the elevator, the button's already pushed, he pushes the button again, and one of his coworkers is like, "Oh, thanks, Bob, like, we really needed that push," but, like,
Goes faster.
I I know, but, like, I'm definitely the person who does that because it feels, like, wrong to get on the elevator without pushing a button to me, like, I don't know, I'm always like, "I
Yeah.
do that,"
I mean,
and now I'm gonna worry about it too much.
don't worry about it. It's okay.
But after they fall, I think the first time, the coworker that made fun of him is like, "Bob, what button did you push?"
Yeah, I got a good laugh out
Poor
of that.
Bob.
Poor
Yep.
Bob. Poor Patrick Fish.
Um, yeah. Our introduction to Keanu Reeves' character, Jack, his car is flying over a hill, and it just looks like the movie Bullet. I don't know if you're familiar, but
Seen that one.
it's from the 60s or 70s, I can't remember, but it's Steve McQueen. I think he's a cop in that movie too, but it's a lot of, like, car chases around San Francisco, so they're always, like, zooming over the hills and, like, crashing down. It's one of my dad's favorite movies, so I've seen it a few times. But no, immediately I was like, "Oh, am I watching Bullet? Like, I don't remember this." And then it's never really an issue again. It's just Jack's in a hurry.
I remember that happening, and my wife's like, "Oh, we're already flying through the air."
Yeah, I mean, fair.
Yeah.
But so we're introduced to Jack and his partner, Harry, who is played by Jeff Daniels. I forgot Jeff Daniels was in this movie. Jeff Daniels probably has the least typecast career ever.
Yeah.
I literally just watched Because of Winn-Dixie with my son because they read that book at school. They watched the movie after they read the book, and Jeff Daniels plays the preacher who is never around for his daughter, who finds a lost dog, names him Winn-Dixie because they were in the grocery store, Winn-Dixie. But I was like, I literally just saw Jeff Daniels in this, like, kids movie
He's
that
all over the
also
place.
yeah, he's all over the place. Because like, for a while when I was younger, I just thought of him as the guy from Dumb and Dumber, but, like,
Yeah.
I don't even know how often he even does that type of comedy, like, he can just do anything, I guess.
He contains multitudes.
He contains multitudes. Really a true everyman.
So the situation, we've got what, 13 or so people in this elevator. Our terrorist, who we don't know anything about yet, he basically rigged, I think it was dynamite or C4, I think it was C4, on the elevator brakes and kind of blowing them off one at a time. One to, you know, show the threat is real, and that's how you get cops involved. So Jack kind of, was he kind of volunteers himself and Harry to go check it out, and they have to, because elevators aren't working, run all the way up the steps, obviously,
Yep.
and they're drilling into the elevator shaft to look down into it to the top of the
Mhm.
elevator in question, and it's making this like weird, horrible noise. It was bothering me as the viewer. It clearly was bothering the hostages and confusing the terrorists. But it also sounded like some like dying dinosaur from Jurassic Park. It was this weird, high pitched but kind of metallic sound.
Especially when you're hearing it from the vantage point of the people stuck in the elevator, like, when you're
Yes.
further away from it and it's echoing down through the shaft. Yes, I was like, "This is horror movie noises," and
Yes.
I could see, like, dinosaur screeching in the distance kinda in some of it. But yeah, it was really horrible, and then also, like, this is when I realized too that not that people have really been in contact with the people stuck in the elevator anyway, but they don't realize that this is like a hostage situation. At this point, I think they just think some horrible malfunction happened and they're, like, stuck in the elevator
Yeah.
because they're all freaking out because they hear it and they're like, "Well, what's going on? Just, like, open the elevator, like, just get us out." But also, even if it was just a regular, like, the elevator's stuck, you'd still have to get to them. So,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, so I was with you there. This is when we get our first pop quiz too.
Yeah. So we had a little foreshadowing with Harry asking Jack, hypothetical situation about a hostage, and Jack's like, "You shoot the hostage," and Harry's like, "What? You would never do that." He definitely does that, and I love the fact that
Yep.
it happens in this sequence of events, but then it becomes a running joke. throughout the
Yeah.
movie because Dennis Hopper's character can hear everything going on. And there's a few times and as the movie goes on where, the people on the bus are hostages. At one point, Annie is a hostage by herself. And, Dennis Hopper's character is like, what are you going to do, Jack? Shoot the hostage? And it comes up more than once or twice.
So, yeah, I just really enjoyed the back and forth between the 2 of them and the
Yeah.
dialogue in a way that I'm sure I didn't really catch on to as a kid. But I think it must be Jack. He has the line that says, "We just take them out of the equation." And I wrote, "A smart and handy action hero." Because
Yes.
you are kinda I understand what the screenwriter was saying, like, he went back and used the addition of this scene to, like, give you some insight into, like, how Jack thinks, right?
Yeah.
And you very much do.
Yeah.
And you had this note about how you could tell right away that the one lady's gonna be the one who's hesitant to get off the elevator, and I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah. I know part of it is memory, but it's the way she's shot because mostly everyone's like in a clump. But even when they first get on the elevator, when Bob pushes the button the first time, there's just a close up shot, her back's against the wall, and it's just her, and she just already looks uneasy. Like
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
she's claustrophobic or whatever, sure. But right away is like, that's the one. That's the one.
Yes, and as we will see, there is always one
Mhm. Oh
who
yeah.
their hesitation really puts the lower half of their body in danger multiple times.
Did you like my note for you specifically?
Where?
To drink for every time they say pop quiz.
Oh, yeah, I did. And it was funny because when I saw that, I was like, "Well, I already have a glass of wine, so I'm just
Uh,
gonna." And that's like I had just forgotten so much of that movie. I even forgot that line, and then once he said it, like, when Jeff Daniels says it the first time, he just says, "Pop quiz." I was like, "Wait, isn't the line pop quiz hotshot?" And, like, I had not thought about this, in ages,
yeah.
and then it was all, like, very quickly coming back to me.
I think
Uh,
Hot Shot's only in there once when Dennis Hopper says it because Keanu says it
yeah,
and Hopper says it again, but I don't think he says hot shot. I think it's just the second time is the hot shot.
he's
Not that it
just, like,
matters.
fucking with Jack, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, though, there's a line that Dennis Hopper says when, he's realizing that Jack and Harry are, like, attempting to rescue the hostages in the elevator. Right before he sets off another bomb, he says, "Don't fuck with daddy." It's like
Yeah. That was
like
a choice.
well, in case you needed to be reminded that you're watching a '90s action movie,
Yes.
they
Yeah.
threw that in for you. I
Not all of his
cringed.
lines are good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Joss Whedon can only do so much. It's fine. Although all the banter between all the random cops was so funny to me when the one cop is like, "Usually they fall down now." Like,
Oh,
because it stops, the elevator stops again after the second explosion, and,
yeah.
um, you can tell that especially Harry and Jack are, like, smart and they're, working together well and bouncing ideas off each other, but at the same time, so many of the cops just spend so much time, like, hanging out. There's that bit where the chief is like, "Well, is there anything stopping them from falling or whatever?" And I think it's Jack is like, "The basement."
Yeah.
You guys all seem like less than helpful in this
Less than helpful.
situation.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have it much later in the movie, but I wrote that besides Jack and Harry, everyone just seems useless.
Jack attaches the elevator cable to, like, some sort of construction equipment or, like, a kind of a crane
Yeah, on
looking
top of the
thing.
roof.
Okay. So they're able to stop the elevator from falling just enough to, like, pull people out, and it's as it continues to fall, like, bit by bit, so they're pulling people out through, like, what at some point is a very small gap, right? And the elevator could shift at any time, which I do feel for this woman who's the last one out who's like, "No, no, I'm gonna get, like, cut in half by this falling elevator." And at the very end, they finally convince her to get out. And I do think too this is part of a scene. What did they wanna say about Jack? That he's, like, a really good cop and he's smart, but he's also, like, he can be sensitive and whatever because he's obviously trying to talk this lady through this to be
Yeah.
like, "Just take my hand, I'll get it from there." but at the last minute, she decides to go for it. He pulls her out right as the elevator falls all the rest of the way, and she loses her shoe because, like, she just made it. And as they're all running away down the hall away from the elevator shaft, she's like, "My shoe, my shoe,"
Yep.
which, like, I don't know if I buy that because she was so terrified. I don't know if she would be, like, really
Caring
thinking
about her
about her
shoe.
shoe. Right. But also, as I said earlier, I watched this with my cousin, and I literally remember my cousin being like, "Can you believe this stupid lady who's just, like, worried about her shoe?" I
Yeah,
that's what
I
I think of.
I kind of found it a little unbelievable.
I will
Uh,
say that as a kid, I developed a slight concern about whether I would be stuck in elevators and be in this position of, like, being stuck between floors and there's only a small space to crawl out of and the
yeah,
elevator could move on you. Not that it was so bad that I, like, stopped using elevators or anything. It was just one of those, like, "Oh, I never thought about that kind of a situation. New fear unlocked," sort of a thing.
because of the movie.
Yes,
Uh,
because of this movie specifically.
and I don't get I don't wanna say I don't get her concern. I do. But at the point where they're at, I get it less than the first 2 people they literally drag out when it's just enough that your head barely fits through. I'd be scared to do that. That I'd be cut in half.
Yeah,
When it's at mid-range,
yeah.
people are literally like they don't even need the cops' help. They're like running and jumping off the elevator
That's
themselves.
true, yeah.
And
You
then it
can get
drops a
out
little bit
faster.
more, but not enough to where you have to like, I don't know, turn your body into a shape it shouldn't be to slide through.
Mhm.
Like that first person out was the bravest person. Also the most cowardly in not letting anyone else go. It's I don't know, it's a chalk up, but
Yeah, yeah, yep.
my shoe.
My shoe. Yep. So, yeah, apparently all these years, like, that's the one part I remembered from Speed. But so these people all run away in a cluster, and we're left with Jack and Harry kinda, like, sitting in the hallway like, "Oh my god, okay, we did it." But their dialogue is Jeff Daniels is like, "Was it good for you? It was good for me." And I was like, "I definitely didn't pick up on this when I was, a kid."
No, I did
And,
not.
and then Jack is like, "Oh, the elevator dropped." And he's like, "Oh, good. It's good to know." Just like they have really good dialogue together.
Yeah, I like it. This is when Jack asks if his watch was fast. He's like, "No, why?" He's like, "'Cause he went early. Why did he go early?"
Mhm.
And that's what makes him think that he's in the building.
This is also when Harry says that the bomber went early because he couldn't hold his wad long enough. Common problem among middle-aged men, I hear.
Oh,
Again,
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
something I picked up on as a kid,
No, didn't pick up
but
on that as a kid.
it was funny.
Yeah.
But yes, this leads Jack to realizing he must be in the building, and, like, I think Harry is the one who's trying to convince him, like, the usual MO would be he's somewhere far, far away. He would never, like, put himself literally in the building, and they evacuated the building anyway.
Mhm.
So I think we see I guess I get the impression that Harry is more old school, even though I don't necessarily feel there's, like, supposed to be a huge age gap between them. But I
I
feel
don't
like Harry has a lot of,
knowledge.
like, knowledge, yes. Mhm.
I don't know if there's a big age gap or not. I also don't know in real life their age gap, but
Mm.
I think they're credited as a detective and an officer. So at least as far as
Oh, I see.
career goes, he does have more tenure. He has more experience. A
Mhm.
few times they have their back and forth. He's like, I'm not always going to be there to protect you. This is like later on when they're celebrating in the bar and they're drunk. So there's a little bit of that dichotomy between the two of them, I guess.
Mhm.
But yeah, he's trying to pass knowledge on to Jack, like, why would he be here, blah, blah, blah. But all right, let's say he is. And let's brainstorm, let's break it down. And that's when they come up with the idea of they call it a freight elevator. I was gonna call it the utility elevator where like
Yeah.
staff usually uses, or
Mhm.
better term, maintenance elevator. That's what I was thinking of, maintenance elevator.
Yeah. Mhm.
Either way, one of the three, all of the three, there is where our villain is hiding.
Yep. So this leads to the whole sequence where Harry ends up getting taken hostage by the bomber, by Dennis
Mhm.
Hopper. I'm just gonna call him Dennis Hopper. I don't think I even learned his character's name. This is pop quiz number 2. Is
Yeah.
this I just at one point started or no, you started counting pop quizzes.
Well, once we did the first one, I like you said, it started flooding back pretty quickly, and it was more like for you and I for funsies because I watched this first and took my notes. And as I mentioned, I said drink for every time they say pop quiz. So I was purposely counting to egg you on, so to speak.
I wrote that Harry is honestly pretty badass this whole time. He's stuck in the elevator with the bomber, and then he ends up somehow leaving the elevator with the bomber, but then he's still holding him hostage in the hallway. And the whole time he's just like, "Fuck it, shoot me, like whatever." Because also I think to some degree too, he's like, "Well, how do I even get out of this?" Because this guy has like C4 or dynamite. He has
Yeah.
something strapped to him.
It-
He basically he has a shotgun to Harry when they're stuck in the elevator together, but then very soon after he has a bomb like all strapped to his body and he has a I think they call it a baton,
At some point, they call it a stick, but it's the
a stick,
detonator,
whatever.
whatever.
It's the
Yeah.
yeah, but like he has a thing he's holding, a detonator that if he lets it go, like the bomb goes off. But then
Right.
he dies and so does Harry if that happens. So I think Harry's just like, fuck it, like shoot me, I don't care. And then, but he's already kind of like talking this big game even before he says to Jack, like, shoot the hostage.
Hmm.
And then, of course, Jack does, and he's like, I can't believe you shot me.
Yeah. You told me to.
Yep. And once he does shoot Harry in the leg, Dennis Hopper gets away, but there's a big explosion. So we all assume he's dead because why would you survive that?
Right. Yeah.
I
And
still kind of want to know what
they
happened.
I would he probably had another bomb there that he set off from a distance.
Like yeah.
They do show his character being a little wily and kind of several steps ahead of our heroes. Watching it this time, besides the fact I've seen this before and I know that he's not dead now, I'm trying to remember what I thought then, like, well, the bad guy's dead. Must be a new bad guy. I don't know what I thought because this clearly this mad bomber, we think
Yeah.
he's dead. We're supposed to think he's dead. He wants the cops to think he's dead.
Hmm.
So I don't know what I thought back then, but we've got like 2 more hours of this movie to go. And is this like the protege of the bad guy? Is there another bad guy, a copycat? Who knows? I can't remember
Yep.
what I thought besides the fact, like, oh, that was easy.
Right.
Like he stumbled getting into his car and dropped the detonator and he blew up or something. Like just
Jesus.
because we don't see anything. We just see
Yeah.
the door kind of. I guess it technically explodes, but as far as the hallway is concerned, it implodes towards Jack and sends his ass flying across the hallway. Then
Yeah.
he gets the medals, and that's it. Bad guy dead.
And to be fair, it's not very long at all until we find out he's still alive because we see him watching the ceremony of them getting the medals. But I did remember this dialogue where, they're kind of whispering to each other about, like, I can't believe you shot me, you prick. And he's like,
Yeah,
Harry, you told me to.
yeah, he did.
Also, the way that Jack says that line, like the Harry, and like kind of trying to jokingly like placate him. I feel like this was when the director or the screenwriter were like, "He's so earnest, we have to cast him." It's just like,
Yeah,
he really
he
is,
really
like, the
is.
way he delivers certain lines, yes. Oh, I actually forgot to point out, apparently the studio was horrified that he had cut his hair so short for this movie.
Really.
Yeah, and I thought that was, like, a weird thing to be upset about, but maybe it's just because I'm used to how he looks in this movie, but he had longer hair in that Point Break movie, right? Okay, so Keanu Reeves thought, like, he's more of a, I guess, like, straight-laced LA cop, whatever. He was like, "Alright, so I should look the part of, like, more of an action, like, actor," and he buzzed his head. And they were 20th Century Fox was considering pushing back production to let his hair grow in more
Hmm.
because they were like, "No, this is never gonna work." Like, people think of Keanu Reeves with long hair. Like, absolutely not. And also, like, was he that well known at that point that people are like, eh,
I don't know.
I
I don't
don't
know about how well known he was, but everything I'm picturing prior to Speed, he had longer hair. Bill and Ted, Point
so,
Break,
yeah, but
Dracula is
I feel like I don't know if the long hair would have worked for this character, though.
no, I think it's a good call that he shaved his head because 2 movies back, he played a surfer cop, and I feel like people might not or people would make the connection he wouldn't want them to.
Right, because then it would just be like, "Oh, like, surfer cop solves another crime."
Exactly.
Like,
It
yeah.
and it makes more sense for the role, like, if he's just this LAPD officer on the bomb squad or special units or whatever, he's not gonna have,
Why would he have long hair?
like,
Yeah.
cool dude surfer hair, you know? So,
Yep.
makes sense.
Yeah. I'm glad you're going with me on this because I was like, "That doesn't make any sense." And also, for the male actor, like, I don't know if I've ever heard of a situation like that before where the studio was so upset with how they looked, but apparently what we see in the movie is it's already grown in a little more because he really, like, buzzed it, like,
Oh,
super
okay.
short. But they were still like, "Maybe he should wear a wig. Maybe we should wait for his hair to grow back."
Jesus.
I was like, I don't know. I just can't imagine him doing some of these stunts, like, with the bus and everything, like, his hair is just getting in the way,
Flowing in the wind.
right? So
"Harry, I
anyway,
can't see the bomb. My hair's in the way." Phew.
or he has, like, a man bun, like, either way, it would've been really
Oh, man buns were not a
distracting.
thing yet.
No. Alright. Okay. So this is when I finally realized the actor that plays their captain, I was like, "He looks so familiar. Why can't I place this guy?" I finally looked him up. If you watched Scandal, this is Spy Daddy, Olivia Pope's dad.
S Spy Daddy?
That's what they called him.
Okay. Is this like a softcore situation or
Nope, it's
what's
like
scandal here?
Scandal with, my god, I can't Kerry Washington. She was Olivia Pope, she was the fixer. It was on ABC. There would be political scandals, and she's the person you call, and she
Okay.
was badass.
Okay.
Either way, this man is from Scandal, and I felt bad that I did not recognize him because I loved that show. So,
I actually
moving
meant to
on.
look him up because he also looked familiar, and it was one of those situations where, "Oh, it's because you've seen Speed before." He also, like he just looks like a generic captain in an action movie.
Yeah. We cut to this little scene of, like, Jack talking to this bus driver friend when he's picking up, like, breakfast or something at a cafe, and literally, as soon as he says goodbye to this guy, he gets on his bus to, like, start his day, bus blows up. I completely forgot about this. I also was just like, "Oh my god, Jack's, like, neighborhood buddy just died." This is why I can't handle usually, like, end of the world movies or even zombie movies even when, like, your loved ones are, like, dying or being turned into zombies, then you have to kill them yourself. Like,
Ugh,
I'm
yeah.
like and even the way Jack runs up to the bus, kinda the noises he makes when he realizes this is just
Just
there's
Bob's
nothing, there's
gone.
absolutely nothing, everyone's gone, yeah. But again, when he's running to that bus really fast, action hero run, could you imagine him with the long flowing hair? Because I can't.
No, but I can't imagine Tom Cruise doing it.
Yeah, I feel like anytime I think of Tom Cruise, he's running, so makes
Yeah.
sense. Yep.
Every day is cardio
Um,
day. So speaking about this bus, they do this all in one shot. They have Bob on the bus in the background. He gets on the bus. Keanu is getting into his car. Bus drives away. Keanu's facing the camera. Camera tracks around to be over Keanu's shoulder, and we see the bus explode. It's all one shot. They
mhm.
use what is called a Texas switch, which is an in-camera edit. The bus Bob,
Mm,
bus driver, is driving. It looks like it's just pulling away from being parked on the street. He's also just turning left behind Keanu. So it would be camera facing Keanu, our left, Keanu's right. That Bob the bus goes left down the street. Real bus or stunt bus, I guess, is being pulled, and that's what we see blows up. So think
Hmm.
of like we talked about Naked Gun, and there were like shots where Lizzie Nielsen gets behind the couch and then jumps up and does a flip and does this other cool thing. That's a Texas switch. Also, they have the other actor hiding.
Oh, okay.
The stunt, we'll call him the stunt actor. The comedic actor gets behind the couch. The stunt actor does the cool stunts. We did that with the
Okay.
bus.
Interesting.
Well, I found an interview from the special effects supervisor, John Fraser.
Okay.
I read the story about this whole exploding bus situation. They have it, the streets shut down. Obviously, they're going to have a real life bus blow up. It's got a dummy driver in it. I don't even know why, because once Bob drives off camera, we don't see a body, but I think they wanted it in there
Maybe just for
anyways.
coverage, like, yeah.
Yeah, for when Keanu was running against it, maybe. But
Yeah.
it's just like a dummy and a bunch of bombs. And they have, he's a supervisor and he has his like trigger guy. I can't remember his name, all ready to go. And when it hits the mark, you're supposed to blow it up. Well, all of a sudden, this woman is running to the bus, apparently completely unaware that they're filming, and she jumps on the bus, according to John Fraser here. And, you know, Jan is shouting, the other people are shouting, stop, stop, no, wait, wait, wait. So I guess they were really afraid that the trigger guy was going to blow up the
Yeah,
lady. Almost
yeah.
did, but he said that once he started hearing other commotions, he like immediately let go of the bomb, like the trigger.
Mhm.
So obviously they had to do a second take at least. But I was just trying to confirm this in camera edit, this Texas switch, and then found this whole story where this woman almost lost her life. Jumping, like she jumped on the bus and jumped off. She's like, "Oh shit, there's a dummy."
Like, she was just a regular woman trying to catch the
She was
bus.
Sandra Bullock, basically. She was running after the bus and jumped on because she was
Oh,
late
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and was like, "Oh, this isn't my driver. What are these bombs? Oh shit."
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's insane to me.
That is insane. Yeah, and, like, what a ridiculous way to lose your life potentially, like, damn.
Can you imagine the very end in memory of random pedestrian?
Right, seriously. My god.
So
How'd she even, like, get through all the blockades and stuff that were probably set up?
yeah, no one knows. She just
She was
ran
just
past the
so latent.
PAs and just
Yeah,
she
that's
was running
crazy.
running like Tom Cruise apparently.
Mhm. I have to go back, and when you said they had, like, the dummy and a bunch of bombs on the bus, I thought you were gonna say a bunch of bombs.
A bunch of bombs.
Because, like, isn't that what the bus driver's name is?
Yeah. Yeah,
I
the
thought you were trying to say, like, they had a bunch of, like, the dummies or something.
bunch of bobs.
I was trying so hard not to laugh because 'cause I'm like, "Well, that's not the point of his story."
Oh, could have been. Just like stunt double bobs all got blown up.
Yep. Yeah, that's an insane story, though.
Mhm.
Man.
I bring you
Okay.
movie magic and I bring you insane stories. I don't know. I got
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard the term Texas switch, literally. Like, I know what you're talking about in terms of, like, what they're doing, but
yeah.
yeah, I learned 2 new things. Um, okay. So, bus blows up, Bob blows up,
Bye, Bob.
bye, Bob. Random payphone rings, and I wrote, like, I forgot how unhinged our villain is, but I
Mhm.
also really like that, at least from what we're seeing right now, he's just bad. Like, he's just a bad guy. And I feel like I want more of, like, this kind of villain in my movies, at least movies like this. Like, I don't care what his motive is. I don't care about his childhood trauma, like, that made him into, like, some bad person. Like, I just wanna hate him because he's the bad guy and watch him do, like, crazy evil shit.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need like, "Oh, I wasn't hugged enough." And even at one point he even says like, "My only motivation is money." Kind of lame or some whatever the line is. He acknowledges it in the
Yeah.
movie like, "Yeah, this is boring, but this is what it is. Like, money that's due to me, I want it. I'm gonna do what I
Yeah.
can because 'cause I'm unhinged."
Yep.
I find that the phone ringing just again gives me horror movie vibes, just like the elevator shaft. It's
Oh,
just like
yeah.
on the bus just blew up, and the closest payphone to Jack is ringing, and
Yeah.
you can see right away he's like, "Well, that's weird," and then it rings again. He's like, "Oh, that's a little too weird." Like, is coincidentally like,
Yeah.
something's not right here. Also, the bus just blew up, so maybe they're related.
Imagine if he had just never answered the phone.
It'd be a very short movie because
Yep.
the other bus would explode.
I'm still thinking about, like, the original script where it only had to stay above 20. Oh, thank goodness for whoever suggested that change. Literally, the screenwriter said, like, a friend of his was like, "You should make it something a little more, like, difficult, like 50."
Yeah,
Yep,
difficult to manage.
yep. So, with this phone call, we get our rules here. There's a bus. Once it goes 50 miles per hour, the bomb is armed. If the bus then drops below 50, the bus blows up. No one can get off the bus. He wants money by 11 a.m. It is currently 8:05. He also says something like, "Don't try to call because the radios are jammed," or something. Does he mean like the radios on the bus?
I wasn't sure actually. I
Because
kind
I
of
didn't know if we're talking about cops or what exactly.
yeah, I feel like when I watched it this time, my immediate reaction I feel was the cops and or him. And I know that's really shitty to like, oh, I thought two things, but it was because then we just see Keanu just he gets the info and bad guy still talking and he just drops the phone and takes off. So I feel like he knows he can't get in touch with anybody else. Well, he takes off when he finds out where the bus is at. So maybe
Yeah.
I don't know. I do want to point out though, before the rules, there's pop quiz number 3. If you're playing with us at home, cheers.
We get our first glimpse of Sandra Bullock right after this, after he
Mhm.
runs away from the phone. Very 90s outfit, very 90s sunglasses,
Yeah.
small round sunglasses. She is running after the bus, like you had mentioned before, missed the bus, and obviously very frustrated to even have to be taking the bus because she makes comment about how she misses her car at some point.
Yes. Even as a kid, I think I recognized this guy, but I didn't know why. Again, kind of like Bill and Ted, I think I seen Ferris Bueller on TV, Comedy Central, more than likely.
Yeah.
And like this annoying guy is Alan Ruck, who is
Mhm.
Ferris's best friend, who I can't even think of his name right now.
My God, I can't remember either.
Doesn't matter if we ever talk about the movie, we'll remember then.
Right, yeah. I don't know if I knew who he was when I was watching this as a kid. I know I caught Ferris Bueller on TV a lot, but maybe that was a little later. I completely forgot he was in this movie. Of course, like I said, once I started watching this, everything was coming back to me.
Right.
But apparently, he was supposed to be a smarmy lawyer, and that was another Joss Whedon change to make him a tourist that's kind of dense, I guess. I don't.
Yeah. It's funny that he's a tourist though, because that comes up a little bit later on. He's got some good little throwaway lines that are pretty funny.
Yeah, he does.
I like how he's annoying Sandra Bullock's character so much, and she's like chewing a big wad of gum, and
Mhm,
she's sitting, I think, in front of him, so he can't see what she's doing, and she just like kind of takes her gum out and puts it all over her own hand to
mhm.
like get away from him. She's like, "Oh, I gotta switch seats. I got gum on my seat. Gum." The way she
Yeah,
says that is so funny. She like
the
sticks
way
her
she
thumb in his face.
yep, the
Gum.
way she says "gum" that second time, yes.
Oh, it was so
Uh,
weird. I just sits next to this older woman who is
mhm.
equally as annoying and crazy. She's like, "Oh, I just love the bus. I love the bus," and she's like, "Oh god."
Well, and this poor lady who we find out later is named Helen, she's like, "I just couldn't handle the freeway traffic anymore. This is so much, like, calmer. It's a better way to get to work," and, like, god damn it, poor Helen.
Yeah.
Also recognized this lady, and it took me ages to figure out why. She's been in a lot. She's been in a lot of different things. The one thing that stuck out to me, because I was like, why do I picture her as like a cranky grandmother? And that's because she was on the Mindy Project, Mindy Kaling's
Mm.
sitcom that It moved to Hulu eventually. I can't remember what started on, or maybe it was on Hulu, moved to something else, but she was their, like, crotchety office assistant who was,
I
like,
can
this
see
old
this.
lady who just, like, didn't give a shit about anything. So, yeah, but she's been in a lot more than that, but this is what I was thinking when I
Yeah.
saw her. Also, when I read that interview with all the bus passengers, she had, like, I think it was her, she had just had a baby, and this was, like, her first job back,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, so for her, it was very much like, "Oh my god, I'm, like, back out in the world," and
Yeah.
also, like, "I still got it. I can do this even though I just gave birth." And then, of course, it ended up being, like, a more loaded role. A lot of these people, when they were first cast, their roles were totally different, and this because they were cast before the Joss Whedon rewrite. Originally, either the director or one of the producers promised they'd all have at least one line, and then
Okay.
that didn't pan out because of the rewrite. Like, one of them, I think it's the Asian lady toward the front, is like one of the women is actually, like, a renowned acting teacher, and she, like, really doesn't have any lines, and some of the other actors had worked under her, like, worked in her like, taken lessons from her, and they were
Sure,
like,
sure.
"How could you have this woman in this movie, and she doesn't even have a line? Like, are you insane?" So,
That's awesome.
mhm. So Annie finally gets in the bus. We're introduced to some of the characters a little bit. Jack basically carjacks someone
Yeah.
because he needs to get to the bus.
Mhm. I don't know this character's name, but you can see his license plate on his nice car, and it's Toon Man, so I will refer to him as such.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel so bad for this guy the entire time because, like, I mean, obviously he gets carjacked. He's like put in the middle of this through no fault of his own. Jack just needs like a vehicle. I guess when this movie came out, one of the critics said something like, when Jack is chasing the bus, like before it speeds up to 50, why doesn't he just shoot out one of the tires? And then, like, you can't even get the bomb to arm. And
Mm,
I can't remember if the screenwriter or the director responded. I think it was the screenwriter because he said questions like that will come up throughout the years and he'll kind of be like, why didn't we think of that? Or why didn't we do that? And apparently this one has been brought up fairly often. He said that his answer after, thinking about it for decades is that if Jack had shot one of the tires, one of these cars behind him probably would have just taken him out because they would just see a man shooting at a bus without knowing he was a police officer. Also, the real answer is because there would be no movie, but
that is the real answer, yes.
right.
It would be
But
just
he
called
did.
Parked.
But see, if they had kept it to 20, it would have been armed already.
Yeah. Hmm. You'd have to shoot more than one tire, though, in the bus because 'cause they're usually doubled up, and we see that later at the airport when they blow a tire,
Mm.
and it doesn't
Oh, right.
doesn't stop. So then you just have this madman running after the bus, shooting at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, the real answer is then there'd be no movie. Don't think too much about it.
Yes. But back to Toon Man. I feel so bad for him because he's like, this is my car. It's legit. I paid for it. It's not stolen. And Jack's like, now it is.
Yeah, which is
It's in
funny.
his car. Yeah. And like this poor man is like dealing with this guy who like claims to be a cop. I think eventually he does show his badge, but like I understand Jack's in a hurry here, but he's just trying to yell at everyone that he's a cop and everyone's like, okay, like
Yeah.
just like some crazy man. And on top of that, like he's wrecking this man's car, which like again, in the grand scheme of things, I get it, but I think what's the point where he asks the guy if he has insurance and he ends up backing the car like or kinda hitting on the brakes so that the bus will take out the door to the car so he can more easily jump on the bus. Like,
Yes.
this poor man's just like, "God damn it."
Yeah, yeah. Poor
Yeah.
Toon Man. Also
Yep.
took his
Yep.
phone.
Yes. Well, but at that point, he's like, "Oh, just take it. I don't give a
Yeah.
shit anymore."
Yeah.
He's like, "Please just leave me alone."
Toon Man was a nice comedic breakaway from a very tense scene. And,
Yes.
like, he's just spastically trying to take his car back into control and do what this guy is
Mhm.
telling him to do. I love when he tells him, "Can you" or he's like, "What are you trying to do? Put something get on the bus or whatever." He's like, "Well, there's a bomb on the bus." He's like, "There's a bomb." "What?" It's like, "Why are we
Ye
driving by the bus? Get away from the bus."
Yep. I definitely remember that bit where Jack has him write on a piece of paper that there's a bomb on the bus, and then he accidentally lets go of the paper, but it flies right into the windshield, so the bus driver sees it anyway.
Yeah.
And I would like to just point out, not that necessarily anyone was arguing against this, but how important it is that you also cast, like, the minor characters well, because the bus driver was included in this interview I read of, like, all the minor characters, but, like, that guy has to do so much emotional heavy lifting,
Yeah. Yeah, that scene
and, like,
specifically when he reads the note and, like, everything just drops.
yeah. Also, in earlier drafts, he was just supposed to have a heart attack and die while driving the bus, and, like, that's how Annie gets into the driver's seat, and I think he went to the director and was like, "I would love to not just be a dead body this entire movie, actually. Is there any way we could change this?"
Oh, yeah, that'd be boring for him.
Yep.
Makes it more dramatic too that there's this other criminal of some sort with a gun on the bus because it adds a lot more drama because then he's also still on the bus and he's, just
Right.
shot the bus driver.
Yeah, and then you have the whole other problem of, like, getting the injured man off the bus versus if he was just a dead body in the bus, like, no offense, like, he's already dead, so
Yeah, he's
we're not gonna try that hard.
no, no, no,
No.
no.
I did think this was kind of maybe, like, funny, not funny, but, like, when Jack finally gets on the bus and he's trying to, like, tell everyone to calm down while not telling them what's actually going on, but, like, all they're seeing is this, again, crazy man.
Yeah,
Who knows who he is? Because I don't think right away he doesn't exactly say that he's a cop. Eventually he does, which is why the scared guy in the back is like, "Oh, he must be here for me because like, I committed a crime or whatever."
yeah,
I was writing down how, like, I understand he's tried not to make everyone panic, like how we didn't tell the people in the elevator that it's a hostage situation, like, we
yeah,
didn't tell them about the bomb. I get that, but, like, sometimes, like this situation, maybe it's better to be honest with them so they don't think they're, like, now being taken hostage or, whatever, because, like, this looks really frightening too.
yeah. Because they just think this is a crazy guy trying to get on the bus for some reason. In his defense, he was trying very hard to tell people he was a cop, but the situation wasn't really panning out because he's shouting it as they're doing 50 something miles an hour on the freeway. And he's just shouting, "I'm a cop, let me on the bus." And it was like, "I can't. What are you? You're a crazy
Yeah,
man on the bus? Yeah, we know. Okay, cool."
yep. At this point, so there's this random passenger who's like, "I'm not going back to jail," or whatever, thinks, like, the cop is on the bus for him. Jack is trying to de-escalate. A separate guy grabs this other man with a gun. They struggle, gun goes off, shoots our bus driver, Sam, in the arm, I think.
I want to say goes through part of his back and arm.
Okay. So again, forgot a lot of this movie. I mean, yes, once he got shot, I was like, oh, duh, that's how we get Annie in the driver's seat. But when it happened, especially because I had just been so like taken in by his reaction to there being a bomb on the bus, and I was like, wow, this guy's great. I apparently yelled out "no" and didn't realize it because I had my AirPods in when I was watching this, and my son ran over to make sure I was okay.
That's awesome.
So I was really getting into it.
Yeah, yeah, clearly.
Oh, this was really funny when he gets through to Harry and the Alan Ruck character is like, he's relaying what Jack is saying on the phone to Harry,
Yeah,
and, like, while Jack is kinda hanging his head under the bus to look at the bomb.
yeah. I wanna go back a second, though. The first
Oh,
time he gets a
sorry.
hold of Harry, I didn't realize when I was a kid that he's hungover.
Oh, no. I was
Just
like, "Oh,
like
they were out really late."
exactly, just like the sex jokes I didn't get either.
Yes.
But definitely when he's, like, just drinking his coffee and he's, like, holding something against his head and he's like, "Oh, you better come," because Jack calls him like, "Hey, this situation, so you better be coming in.
Mhm.
I made it in." And I'm like,
Yep.
"Yeah, because 'cause you're so tired." No, it's because he's hungover. Well, probably also tired.
Jumping way back, when he is drunk and leaving that party, he, like, stands up and he's obviously drunk, like, he's not well, he also has the leg injury, but he's, like, swaying, he's not standing that well, and he's like, "I'm gonna go home and have sex."
Made me think of Clue.
I know, me too. But anyway, continue.
To your point, so he like literally hands it to Alan Ruck. He's like, passenger relay. And I was like, what? Oh, okay. It's very literal. And he's just kind of
Mhm,
describing the bomb underneath. And he's like, it's got wires. It's got wires. It's got this. It's got that. And then he sees the real bomb
mhm.
and he's like, oh, fuck me. And there's a long pause. And Alan Ruck goes, oh, darn. I laughed so hard watching it this time.
I did too.
Oh my god. Talk about the minor characters having good performances. Like it's just Alan Brooks probably does a lot of comedic roles. Yeah, and it,
Yeah.
it definitely helps in these scenes here.
Yeah, I laughed at that too, it was great, and is this also when we see that there's, like, a the cheap watch attached to the bomb?
Yeah.
And that's like a clue. Okay. So I wrote that when we cut back to Dennis Hopper's character, he has like multiple screens that he's watching, but his main focus at that moment is like watching a football game while drinking a Coke. And it just makes him seem even more psychotic to me because it's just like he knows all this other stuff is happening. He's just like, I'm going to catch some of the game and chill. I don't know.
Yeah, he has this like crazy setup with multiple screens and he has a lot of news coverage on. We see later that one of the TVs is like a closed circuit thing. He's watching the bus. That's how he knows what's going on.
Hmm.
But yeah, he looks like a madman, and instead of like paying undivided attention to what's going on, he's like cheering and watching the game and having snacks and
Yeah. And I had forgotten that there's technically a time limit involved too because he wants the money by like 11. And
yes,
so I guess to me, if he was just like, okay, I'm a crazy bomber, like, see if you can save everyone by, like, that would be different. But I feel like, I don't know, there's only, I think, a 3 hour window, right?
yeah,
So, I don't know.
which means I know he's in California time, 3 hours ahead, but still, it's pretty early. Whatever football game he's watching has got to be a repeat.
I was kind of thinking of that too.
But I think also just shows his cockiness and confidence. He's watching some sort of game
Yep.
thinking he's already won. Like, yeah, they might have got me in the elevator, but this is a bomb on a bus doing over 20 miles an hour. What could go wrong?
Over 20. Okay. So this baby carriage scene.
Whew.
Yeah. Apparently, the studio really wanted them to hit something like a baby carriage. And both Yost, the screenwriter, and Debon, our director, were like, that's so, uh, what's the
Dark.
word? That's so like, well, dark, but also that's like so not original, like to like almost hit a baby carriage. It's like in other chase scenes, like everyone always runs into a fruit stand, is what they said. Um,
Yeah.
So, yeah. So they were like, "I really don't wanna do that," but they were like, "No, we wanna have something like that where there's, like, a sense of danger or whatever." And well, here's the quote from Yost, the screenwriter. "The gasp in the audience was fantastic when it happened. For 1.6 seconds, they hated us and could not believe we had done it. And then the cans came out and just the relief and the laughter. That was fun." Because basically they were worrying themselves sick over how do we put in this studio note without, like, completely losing the audience because they're
Mhm.
like, "The audience will never forgive us for, like, killing a baby."
Right.
And yeah, and they were like, "If we just do a close call that's, like, so lame, that's, like, overdone." And I think the director someone had seen someone collecting cans in, like, a grocery cart or something, and they were like, "Oh, well, what if they were doing that with, like, a baby carriage?" And it was the director that had the idea to do, like, a British-looking pram to make it look like, to really sell the fake out.
Yeah.
It's these 2 women who don't look noticeably disheveled, could very much just be 2 people who met up and, like, for breakfast, saying goodbye to each other, and, like, you have this kinda nice pram too.
Yeah.
But, yes, I wrote that, when Jack smiles at Annie and he was like, "It was full of cans, it's just cans," and I was like, "This is when I started to develop a little crush on his character." As a child. Maybe now too, I don't know.
Mhm. Sure. Yeah.
Yep. Mhm.
I knew it was cans, and it's still like, oh my god, oh no, like because you feel for well, you feel for everybody, but like you really feel
Yeah.
for Annie because she's driving the bus at this point, and she's I just killed that baby, like she ran over little baby Oscar from Ghostbusters too, right there, like
Right. Baby Oscar.
there's the same little pram,
It is, it is. Yep.
and then like right after they have to make a right to kind of go to where the cops are waiting for them to escort them, and there's a bunch of
Mhm.
like elementary school kids trying to cross the street. She's like freaking out. She's
Mhm.
yelling at them. She has a line like, so many kids, so many kids. Why aren't you in school? I was like, that's a good question.
That is, yeah, maybe it's a little early for them to be in school, I don't know. But no, that was all very funny. I think I remembered that they hit the baby carriage, but it's not what you think. I forgot that it was literally cans,
Hmm.
but it soars through the air long enough that I was like, oh my God, where's the fake out? Where's the fake?" Like, I knew there was
Yes.
something that was gonna make me feel better about it, but that shot just goes on for so long when you're, like, horrified that, a baby just got hit that you're like, "It is a fake out, right?"
Yeah.
Like,
They
no,
wouldn't
it
do this,
got me.
right? Right? They would. Oh, okay. Okay. We're good.
Exactly, yes. This dialogue between Jack and Annie, I think she, like, asks him why this is happening or something, and Jack says, "It's a game. If he gets the money, he wins. If the bus blows up, he wins." Annie says, "What if you win?" Jack says, "Then tomorrow we'll play another one." And Annie says, "But I'm not available to drive tomorrow. I'm busy."
Yeah. I thought that was fun and cute. A
Yeah,
little bit
and I
of
like these
little
little
flirting.
moments. Yeah, I mean, like, the flirting, but also just, like, these moments of levity, so it's like, you're not just completely terrified this whole time
Right.
watching it.
That's a good point.
Um, and then there's some point where I think they're on the freeway at this point because the cops are, like, riding alongside them, and our tourist, Alan Ruck, is like, "They can't just let us die, like, they get paid by our taxes, so if we die, they have to take a pay cut."
Right.
And I was like, "Sir."
I was like, read the room, tourist.
Well, right, and it's like, so you're not just an idiot because it's your first time in LA, you're just an idiot.
Also, you're not paying taxes, so I guess you are expendable, sir. You don't live here.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
I forget what's going on here after that.
Mhm.
Jack asks the construction worker guy, who is also the same guy that tried to get the gun away from the criminal who was ended up shooting Sam.
Yeah, and he's, like, a
Same
really
big
tall
dude.
guy.
He's
Mhm.
big and burly looking, and obviously they don't know each other's names. Jack just calls him Gigantor. I never caught that before.
Yep.
It's like, hey, Gigantor. It's like Ortiz, huh? My name is Ortiz. Like, oh, okay, cool.
Okay, so speaking of names, I thought it was weird how he and Annie go so long calling each other, like, sir and ma'am, or, like, she calls him officer at some point when they're running into, like, a obstacle or some point.
Yeah,
I just feel like in these kinds of situations, like, part of the I don't know if de-escalating is the right word. I just feel like part of his training would be like, "Tell me your name," just to have some rapport with her. I was just surprised that it took them, like, so long into the movie, that's all, but maybe he's not used to actually working, like, with the hostages in that way.
see, I find opposite because up until this little moment,
Mhm,
everything is so fast. He's trying to get on the bus. He gets on the bus, talks to Sam briefly. He just says, like, stay above 50, stay straight. So it's something really like soft. We can't
mhm,
really fully hear it. And then that's when he announces himself that he's a cop. Then the guy pulls a gun. Sam gets shot and he takes over. We hit a baby carriage.
mhm,
It's
and the
there.
cops are trying to get them to the freeway that's, like, more
Yeah.
empty, yeah. So,
Uh,
yeah, maybe you're right.
there's just so much
Um,
going on. I do love though that she keeps calling him officer, and when they see the stop traffic, she like grabs the microphone, just like yells into it.
mhm. Oh, that was good. But yeah, so this brings us to this bit where Ortiz is helping to get Sam, the bus driver, off the bus. I think somehow Jack gets on the phone with Dennis Hopper and he's like,
Yeah.
show some mercy, some charity. There's still lots of hostages. Just like let this one guy go. And Dennis Hopper is like, fine. But if anyone else gets off the bus, you're done for. Like the bus blows up. I was surprised that I don't know. I guess logistically, I don't know how they would do this, but I was surprised they couldn't get like a stretcher or something for poor Sam. Like they really do make him jump over to the cop vehicle
Yeah.
and like he is gravely injured. I didn't
Yes.
even think he could stand necessarily because they talk about how much blood he's losing.
Yeah. Well, he
I
didn't
don't know.
literally jump. They had like a little platform he walked across, and they had a lot of
And
people helping
sure,
him.
yeah.
But at this point, my wife was confused because Helen, we start seeing her like start losing her shit, and she's like, "I gotta get off. I gotta get off." I'm like, "No, no, no." And for some reason, she like sneaks behind Jack while Jack's with the rest of the crowd. Like they're kind of cheering. They got Sam off. Everyone's happy. Sam's off. You know,
Mhm.
your local favorite bus driver. And she
Mhm.
starts to go towards the door. And at this point, like the platform is gone. But then there's officers on the flatbread driving next to the truck. That's how they got Sam off. Like waving around, like, "Come on, lady, give me your hand." And my wife's like, "Don't they know
Yes.
they can't get off the bus? Like, what's going on here?" I was like, "I don't know how many
And
people know
also
what
they
yet."
right, and also, like, they took the platform away, so it's less
Right.
safe
Yeah.
in general, but yeah, that's what I kept thinking too is, like, why are they encouraging her? Do they
Mhm.
not understand the terms of, like, we're letting the injured bus driver off the end? It just yeah, it seems, like, so negligent, I guess, for not everyone to be on the same page in this situation, but also like, she really cracks Helen. She's, like, going
Yeah.
toward the light. She is not all there, and I mean, I get it. It's, like, extreme stress, whatever, but Annie's screaming at her to stay on the bus, and she's like, "No, I can't be here, like, I gotta go," which, like, again, completely understand kinda how this all would happen. I forgot that the bomber, somehow sees this happening. We know now he has, like you said, like a camera on the bus that he can watch. But well, and also the
The news.
news
Yep.
helicopters, I think, are narrating kinda what is happening. And, I
Yes.
mean, you can sorta see her, like, reaching off the bus, like, from the vantage of the helicopter, but he ends up, I guess, setting off a smaller bomb that just takes out the stairs of the bus.
Yeah, it's kinda how he did with the elevators and the different breaks.
Right.
It's like a warning shot.
Yeah, there you go. And causes Helen to obviously fall and, like, go under the bus. So now everyone's just, like, terrified, sitting quietly in the bus. Annie's, like, traumatized all over again, and
Yeah.
Jack is, like, having to talk her down. He's like, "She was scared. It's sad." Oh, and then there's, like when Jack is still on the phone with the bomber says, "Interactive TV, Jack, wave of the future." And I said, Was this before the O.J. Simpson Bronco chase?" Because, like,
Hmm.
is it that surprising that, like, live news could be covering this and he could be, like, seeing it? I don't know. Maybe Jack just, like, hadn't thought about, like, news coverage yet because, like, obviously a lot of things are going on.
Yeah. Well, I think it also plays into the fact of that opening scene that we obviously needed so much to set up Jack's character because he was the one where like he's nearby, he's in the building, he knows what we're
Mhm.
saying. Like I don't even know if they caught on or if the first time anyone watches it, because I know I didn't, but I was 9. If we caught on that, the famous, pop quiz, he obviously heard the whole conversation they had. He's using these guys as words against them,
Right.
and so
You're
he's
right.
very
Yeah.
hands-on, so Jack should know. Maybe at one point he says something to Mac, the supervisor, Spy Daddy, whatever his name is. He's like, "Yeah, I can't let these people off." He's like, "How do you know?" He's like, he's watching and he points directly above his head. He's thinking that the only way he can see what's going on is these helicopters.
Yeah.
So who's the real
Yes.
Spy Daddy now?
Haha.
I don't know.
You're like, "I don't know."
I don't know.
So this is where we get to the next problem, which is the reason they were put on this freeway by the police was because it's under construction. No one else is on this freeway. They can keep up their speed. There is apparently a chunk missing in the freeway because, like, they haven't finished construction. I guess this is when I realized they were using, like, actual paper maps to figure out, like, where to route this bus,
Yeah.
and I guess this was not on the map, and I did think that it was funny when the chief was like, "Everybody's fucking fired," because, like, obviously, this is a huge thing to overlook,
Yeah.
and so this is when we jump the bus.
Yeah. My thought was, why do you think there's no one on this freeway? You guys couldn't, like, maybe, like, this is 1993, no cell phones, no smartphones, no GPS,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of freeways in California, LA area, sure.
Right.
But why is it not being used? Ask yourself that
Yeah,
question. We have an empty freeway in a very urban, big city,
that would probably like to use the freeway, yeah.
right? So that was my first thought. Then I laughed when he fired everybody. He really didn't, but
Yep,
the line
I
was
know.
great.
And that's the thing too, like, when you pointed that out, it's like, okay, no one's driving here because it's under construction, but it's also, like, nearly done enough or just not torn up enough that you can still drive on it. Because
Hmm.
obviously she is. Why is it still closed? Like, I
Right.
kinda get what you're saying. So, this is when Jack's like, "We're gonna have to jump the bus. Everyone, like, put your bags under your seats," you know?
Yep.
I agree with the note you made that, like, this would not obviously work in real life, but
And when I was looking up that Texas switch thing, I came across this stunt, but I
yeah.
did see a quick article that they tried to do this with Mythbusters and it deemed unsuccessful. This would not happen.
Yeah, yeah, they said, like, real life conditions, it would not work. So, DeBont, our director, when they were scouting, like, location scouting, he just noticed some unfinished sections of freeway and was like, "That would be a fun problem to have," and that's how this got put in.
Awesome.
Yeah, and he said in one of the DVD commentary tracks that the first time they did it, the stunt driver missed the ramp, damaging the bus so much that they had to just scrap it and get a whole nother bus. This is why they used 14 buses.
God.
They did the successful jump with the second bus, but the bus went further than they expected and it destroyed one of the cameras that was set up on the other side to, like, capture the jump. There was a camera placed a little further away from the jump ramp, so that recorded it for coverage, but this is the take they ended up using because the bus ran into the first camera.
That's crazy.
So this is like the vantage point they used. But yes, you were right about the Mythbusters thing. I came up on that too. But, like, these poor people just sitting on this bus waiting for this to happen, like, they're all just waiting to die. It's horrible. Like, not that they weren't already scared. And there's, like, that one older woman who's hugging her husband. She's like, "I
Yeah.
just wanna see our babies." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Ugh." Again, like, I can't handle, like, these things make me cry, and it's, like, this random extra with, like, one line. Don't laugh at me.
Another
And
problem I just thought of is when the bus landed, that's very risky because that could have accidentally set off the bomb.
I thought about that too when 'cause I, went back and rewatched some things when I'm doing my notes, and yeah, obviously it lands really hard,
Yeah.
and I've thought about that too, like, it's just so, I mean, it lands hard, but then when you see them all being jostled inside, you realize, like, I think more so how hard it lands, and I'm like, "Wow, yeah, they're really lucky that that this worked, number 1," but yes, I would have been really worried we were, like, fucking with something, like a wire or something.
Yeah, anything. Or just
Yeah,
the explosion itself, you know?
I did write that this is, like, one of our another instance of Jack shielding Annie from, like, the action, and I wrote, "Definitely swooned." Right before the jump, he, like, completely covers her with
Yeah.
his body, and this
Yeah.
is, like, a thing that keeps happening.
She can't do anything to protect herself. She's gotta drive the bus. It's gotta go over 50, which also includes being over 20,
Yeah.
and there's these giant windows around, the kind that
Mhm.
Rob Lowe waves out of. So, in case anything were to happen, we need our bus driver safe.
Oh my god.
Could you imagine that crossover?
Why Why did you bring this up?
Sometimes I don't know when the words are leaving my mouth what they're gonna be, but I make connections. They're not always the best,
Oh
but they're
my
usually
god.
funny.
Okay. He definitely have to take a seat for this one.
Oh, yeah.
But
So
wait, I had a point.
oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. When you're talking about Annie being, like, more vulnerable because she's in the driver's seat, I agree, but I guess